Good morning and welcome back to the current affairs lectures that we have been doing for UPSC Civil Services exam and of course the other examinations as well. I hope you had a fantastic week the last week, and now we are going to take some very important topics that we'll be covering from the current affairs section, newspapers basically, and the topics that I have taken today. One of them, the refugees and India, the status of refugees and how India is a party. Is India a party to a refugee convention or not? And we'll look at how refugees are treated in India historically and what are the legal provisions for treatment of refugees in India. Okay. The first topic that we are taking today is refugees and India. Why this was in news? Actually, what happened was the Minister for Housing and Urban Affairs, Harshdeep Puri, he tweeted a certain tweet saying that the Rohingyas living in and around the NCR, National Capital Region, they will be provided with the housing facility in the EWS flats made in a certain locality, Bakkarwala, it is called, in Delhi. Okay, that means Union Home Minister for Housing, Mr. Harshdeep Puri, tweeted that the government is going to provide EWS flats to the Rohingyas living in and around the National Capital Region. But after that led to a certain kind of outrage on the social media like Twitter. After which another tweet came from the government. It was from Home Minister side, and it said that there has been no direction given regarding the very same. That means one ministry said something and another minister countered it. That created a situation where people were left wondering as to what is the real situation, what is the actual stance of the government on that. The Union Home Ministry overrules Housing Minister's tweet on providing flats to Rohingyas. These flats are constructed for EWS section of people, okay, under the Pradhan Mantri Gram Awas Yojana Urban, PMGA/U, which we also will be taking today in one of our slides. Minister's Rohingya tweet triggers Delhi versus Centre fight over refugees, and this also started a fight between the central government and the Delhi state government over there were certain allegations from the central government that the Delhi government is trying to shift these these Rohingyas to the EWS flats and the certain kind of blame shifting on each other. Let's see what is the legal provision, how this topic is going to be important for UPSC for us. Okay, the Delhi government has recently proposed to shift the Rohingyas living in and around NCR in the temporary accommodations in basically the slums to the EWS flats that have been constructed under Pradhan Mantri Gram Awas Yojana Urban. Okay, these EWS flats are to be given to the people of economically weaker sections. Okay. The Delhi government also said that around the clock police protection that will be provided along with the electricity and water facility. Okay. To counter that, Ministry of Home Affairs has said that no such provision will be undertaken, and the people who are residing in the slums or wherever they are residing, they will be staying there itself or in the detention camps, because they are illegal immigrants. They are not refugees under Indian law. Okay. MHA has already taken, and it also said that the Ministry of Home Affairs has already taken up their deportation to their native country, Myanmar, through the Ministry of External Affairs, which is negotiating the transfer of or the deportation of all these Rohingyas back to Myanmar, which is negotiating with the Myanmar government. Illegal foreigners are to be kept in the detention camps till they are deported under the procedures established by the law. and wherever they are staying, that has to be declared a detention center as per the law. That has to be declared a detention center as per the law. But the state government of Delhi has not yet declared those slums or the residences where they are staying as detention centers. This is the status, this is the current status of Rohingya refugees in India. Are Rohingyas the only refugees that have come to in India? No. Prior to Rohingyas, India gave asylum to a lot of Tibetan and around 95,000 Tamil Hindus. Basically, those came from Sri Lanka. Okay, during the Sri Lanka Tamil conflict. But time and again, the Ministry of Home Affairs has also said that Rohingyas pose a threat to the national security, and hence they cannot be granted the similar kind of relaxations that the people of Tibet or the people of Sri Lanka, the Tamils, have been provided with. Okay, so let's see what is the legal, a bit of background about the Rohingyas. Now Rohingyas, as you can see, this map shows the route of migration for Rohingyas. Rohingyas are mostly situated in the western province of Rakhine, the Rakhine province. Okay, the Rakhine province. Rakhine province in Myanmar. Okay. The Rakhine province is the least developed province in the whole Myanmar, with literacy rate around the illiteracy rate, around 78%, whereas the average for Myanmar is 35.6%. 35.6%. Now, where do Rohingyas come from into Myanmar? Okay, that is the main question. And why are they fleeing? Why are they being persecuted? So Myanmar trace their origin in this region to 15th century, back to the 15th century, when they came from the Bengal, okay, Bengal and Assam and all these areas, when the Arakan kingdom was established in Myanmar. Okay, they came in 15th century in the Arakan kingdoms. Okay, and this it was not one time migration. There was a constant influx of Rohingyas up till the latest 20th century. Okay, so that is how Rohingyas get to be settled into that area. Okay, Rohingya means the ones who belong to Rakhine, the ones who belong to Rakhine province. That is how they identify themselves. But the government of Myanmar has not identified the term Rohingyas for them, as the term Rohingya itself means the people who belong to Rakhine. Rakhine somehow loosely translates into Rohing, into their language, the language which Rohingya people use, and Ya means belongs to, Rohingya. So Gya means the one who belong to, and Rohing means Rakhine province, the loose translation of Rakhine province. Okay, so that means all these people, and up till Burma got its freedom from Britain, the Rohingyas were living like naturally there. But after the independence of Burma, what happened was, Burma is a Buddhist majority country. Okay, and the state of Burma declined to accept any kind of declined to provide citizenship to the Rohingyas, and rejected their demands for any kind of inclusion into the Myanmar society. Okay, that is how now they have been living in Myanmar for a very long period of time, but they have not become the citizens of Myanmar. Okay, what happened was, they were however provided with the identification cards, which are called white identification cards, which they have to necessarily carry with themselves wherever they go. They need to take permission from the state for marrying, for transfer of property, for buying new home, for moving into a new home. And there was one special diktat that said that they need to take permission from the government if they want to have more than 2 children. Okay, if they want to have more than 2 children. But Myanmar has its own problems. There's a constant tussle or conflict between the elected government, democratically elected government, and of course the military junta. Okay, the military and the elected government. There's a conflict of power. There's a conflict of attaining or achieving power between those two entities. Okay. So what happened was, recently, why this recent Myanmar issue, Rohingya issue has like blown out of proportion. Why is this being talked so much? Because in 2014, Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army, it's a kind of armed group which fights for Rohingyas in Myanmar. It killed a certain police officer, military officer in Rakhine province, which led to very harsh persecution by the state or the military against Rohingyas, which led to outflow of Rohingya minorities from Myanmar to certain parts of the world. And this outflow has not been a very recent one. Actually, it has been going on since a very long period of time. Now let's see which routes they have used. They have majorly reached Thailand, okay, Singapore, Malaysia, okay, Indonesia, right? And then Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has around 2 lakh Rohingyas. India has around 40,000. Pakistan has around 3,50,000, and UAE has around 10,000 Rohingyas in their own territories. Okay, that means the outflow of Rohingyas has become a problem of the whole region in itself. Okay. So there are around, for India, there are around 40,000 Rohingyas living in all the various different states, for which the state of J&K, New Delhi, Haryana, basically, there's a locality, there's a place called Nuh, N-U-H, Nuh, okay, Nuh in Haryana, and the New Delhi region, of course, and Rajasthan, basically Jaipur. All these states are, and of course Hyderabad. Okay. So these states are majorly the places where Rohingyas are residing. Okay. And they come to India through 2 major routes. One is through Bangladesh, and the second one is through Manipur and Mizoram states of India. Okay, and then they enter through this part. So these are the 2 major routes, and this is the status of Rohingyas in India, right? Now, is India bound to provide them refuge? Is India bound by any treaty to provide them refuge? That is what we are going to investigate into this lecture. Now, India is neither a party to the Refugee Convention of 1951 under the United Nations Charter, or nor is it the party to the 1967 Refugee Protocol to the very same convention. This Refugee Convention is under the ambit of United Nations Convention. Okay, it is signed under the United Nations Charter, and then the protocol to that convention. Okay, so there's a difference between protocol and convention. Convention means convention is of course not legally binding, right? Like treaty is a legally binding thing. Convention means it provides a framework for providing something, for it's kind of framework for governance of some specific issue. And protocol, when a convention comes into being, a protocol is issued. That means how that convention is to be implemented. That is called protocol. So 1967 protocol to the 1951 Refugee Convention. India has signed neither of them. And hence it does not recognize refugee cards issued by United Nations Human Rights Convention, like the Commission on Human Rights. Okay, United Nations Commission on Human Rights provides these identification cards to refugees wherever they are in the world, and the state which has signed this refugee convention, they need to provide them with the assistance. Okay, so India is not a party to the refugee convention, neither is it legally bound to provide any kind of assistance to Rohingyas. Okay, now that is one thing. That is one legal aspect of this whole thing. It implies that Rohingyas within India do not have the right to seek job, ration and all these things. However, just because India is not party to a convention does not absolve India of its responsibility to provide the Rohingyas with the fundamental right of life under Article 21. That is the right to life with dignity and personal liberty. Okay, right. India has provided, but India, since India is not a party to the refugee convention, it has neither signed the 1967 refugee protocol to the convention. So how does India? What is the law? Is there a vacuum of law regarding the refugees? Of course, there is a vacuum of policy about the refugees, but there is not a vacuum of law about the refugees. Let's look at what are the laws. There are two important laws in India. The first one is Passport Act. The second one is Foreigners Act 1951. Okay. So, Foreigners Act 1951. The Foreigners Act actually says that anyone illegally entering India without having a rightful visa will be considered illegal immigrant. That is, the status of refugee will not be accorded to that person, of course, unless the state makes an exception, right? India has provided refugee status to the persecuted Hindus and Sikhs from the states of from the countries like Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan. Okay. But that has been provided on case to case basis. That there was no uniform policy regarding that unless the Citizenship Amendment Act 2019 came into being. The 2019 Citizenship Amendment Act, however, provides citizenship, fast-tracked citizenship to the citizens, to the basically immigrants who are coming from the states of, from the countries Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh and belong to one of these 6 religious denominations or religions, because these religions are minority religions in these countries and hence they face persecution, and they are Hindus, Christians, Sikh, Jain and Parsis. Hindus, Christians, Sikh, Jain and Parsis. These the people from these religions coming to India, they will be provided with fast-tracked registration of citizenship in India because of their persecuted status in these countries. Now, when China invaded Tibet, the people of Tibet fled to India, even Dalai Lama fled to India, and India provided Dalai Lama and the other Tibetans with refuge into India, and Dalai Lama has residence here in India in Dharamshala. Okay. And Tibetan refugees are provided with refugee certificates which entitle them with all the rights provided to the citizens of India except for the right to government job and the right to vote. Except for these 2 rights, they have been provided with all the rights that are available to citizens of India. Okay. India has also provided refuge to some 95,000 Tamils that fled the persecution in Sri Lanka. Okay. Though India does not has a uniform refugee policy, but India has been providing refuge to a lot of people from persecuted sections of our, basically the neighborhood. Okay. India's stance on refugees again, both like the Foreigners Act 1946 and the Passport Act, they provide that anyone entering India without having a legal visa will be considered an illegal immigrant, and that is the status of Rohingya refugees in India as well. They are not considered refugees, but what they are considered illegal immigrants in India. Okay, and there is a certain kind of law that has been made for the deportation of illegal immigrants in India, and it was also provided under the CAA, Citizenship Amendment Act. Okay, the Constitution of India, however, protects everyone, everyone's like right to life are under Article 21. Article 21 is provided to both citizens and non-citizens, and Article 14 is provided to both citizens and non-citizens. Okay, right to equality. Okay, now correct. And also, right against solitary confinement and custodial violence has been interpreted as a part of right to life under Article 21 by the Supreme Court. Okay, right to medical assistance and shelter has also been interpreted as a part of right to life under the Article 21. India is not a party to the Refugee Convention. However, India is a party to Covenant on the Civil and Political Rights, ICCPR, International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, 1966, and Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which guarantee the principle of non-refoulement. Now, non-refoulement, what is? It's a very, it's kind of a buzzword these days. Why? Because it has been in lot of news. The principle of non-refoulement states that any country should not send one person back to his home country where that person has the reason to believe that he will be persecuted. He will be persecuted, not prosecuted. He will be persecuted. Prosecuted means prosecution is according to the law. Persecution is illegal. Persecution means genocide or fear of genocide or murder or killing. Okay. So if any person has a reason to believe that he will be persecuted in his home country, then that person will not be deported by the country he has sought asylum in. That is the principle of non-refoulement, which is a very integral part to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Okay. Moreover, in Muhammad Salimullah versus Union of India, Muhammad Salimullah, he is a Rohingya, a Muslim living in the state of J&K. He approached Supreme Court. For the relief under the Foreigners Act 1951. Okay, for the Foreigners Act 1951, for 1946, sorry, because there were around 160 Rohingyas who were being deported back to Myanmar. Okay, now Mr. Muhammad Salimullah approached Supreme Court and said that the Supreme Court should intervene in this and provide us with the right to life with dignity within India, because we as Rohingyas face persecution and genocide in Myanmar. But the Supreme Court of India observed that the Rohingyas need to be sent back to the Myanmar, okay, to the Myanmar, and they should be sent back according to the procedure established by law, not arbitrarily, okay. Need to be deported back according to the procedure established by law. Now, what is the procedure or established by law for deportation? So there are foreigner tribunal. Okay, there are foreigners tribunals. So foreigners tribunal was also in a lot of news since the NRC being conducted in Assam. Okay, and after the implementation of CAA. Now, what are foreigner tribunals? Any person whose name does not appear into the National Register of Citizens, that is NRC, he can approach the Foreigners Tribunal and seek remedy for the very same thing. Okay. Now, Foreigner Tribunal is a quasi-judicial body. It is not a judicial body. It is a tribunal. It is not a proper court. It is a tribunal. It is a quasi-judicial body which adjudicates upon the fact whether a person is the rightful citizen of India or not. Okay. And the Foreigner Tribunal have been authorized to the Foreigner Tribunal actually have been the final body to determine whether a person is citizen of India or not. Okay, and if they find that if a person is not the citizen of India, they can order the deportation, and the person who is being deported will be put into the detention center unless and until he is deported. That is the procedure for deportation. Okay. So I hope you understood this whole issue of Rohingyas, how they came to Myanmar, why they have been persecuted for so long, and where they are now situated across the world. Okay, and how this is a cause that affects everyone around the world, because political instabilities or religious or ethnic persecution can lead to genocide of people, and who will try to seek what refuge in certain countries. Okay, so the countries, there should be a balance between national security interest and the interest of the Rohingya people as well. If you look at the way forward, what should be the way forward? That the only way forward that is likely possible is that the government of India should negotiate with the government of Myanmar to provide certain kind of relief to the Rohingyas and then deport them. And unless and until that kind of favorable situation is created, Rohingyas need to be registered in India, their count need to be recorded, and they need to be provided with the basic human facilities that are needed for education, for example education. Okay, and because since they are not registered in India, they are illegal immigrants, they do not have the right to education as well, like right to education in the sense that they are not being provided with the proper kind of facilities. Okay, so these inhuman conditions should be alleviated, and they should be provided with some kind of relief at this point in time, and when the right time comes, they should be deported back to their native countries. Okay.